where am I at on the map here? I kind of lost where I was going. To head back over here. Oh yeah, the newer apartment definitely much better. But honestly, at that point, I think my mental health and my academic standing was so shot that it kind of was beyond recovery at that point. Um, so I was in a bit of better living situation. Parking was slightly better. I still didn't have my own assigned parking spot, unfortunately. So I kind of still struggled to find parking still. Um, but beyond that, everything else was better. I lived in my own room with my own bathroom as well, so that was really nice. My roommates were nicer. Um, we got along well. The apartment itself was a condo. It was like a three-story condo, and I lived on the bottom floor by myself. So I kind of was able to play my music without bothering my other roommates that much. Nice. The kitchen was in the middle floor, so if we wanted to hang out, it was all in that area, the kitchen living area. Cool. And the laundry area was upstairs by their other rooms. So we had on-site laundry, which I guess to be fair might have bothered them. I don't really know. Um, can't really help that, I guess. But it seemed like person in the master bedroom up there had a good time. They had a bigger room than any of us, and he also had his own bathroom. And the other two rooms um, shared one bathroom outside of their rooms. So, they were sharing a bathroom, which is not ideal, but it was only two people to a bathroom. Not the worst scenario, I guess. And they each had their own rooms as well, so we all had our own rooms, and then me and the master bedroom guy were not sharing. We had our own bathrooms, and the other two people in their rooms had to share a bathroom. So yeah, definitely a lot nicer. The other apartment I was living in, it was in I wouldn't say nicer area per se. I was about to say nicer area, but I thought about it for a second. Honestly, the area we were living in, still nice. Honestly, it was only like 10 minutes away, so it's not really that big of a difference, regardless. I would say the complex was nicer, but the overall area was just about the same. Um, you know, not having to deal with snoring and parking issues as much. Definitely made it easier for me to go to classes and go to work. That was nicer then. Like I said, I was able to actually practice my instruments without bothering too many people, so that was nice. But unfortunately, I guess the problems did show up as the lease expired. Because unfortunately, that newer lease on the nicer apartment was only, I think, 4 months or 6 months long. So it was only half of the school year, meaning we had to renew it at some point. Which wasn't really an issue. We all liked each other as roommates, and we all thought it was fine to renew the lease for another year. Beyond the school year, actually. We were all planning to stay in that apartment for like a year at least, if not longer. We all liked each other, and we all thought it was fine. Pricing was fine and everything. So we said, let's extend it for a year at least. So that's kind of where the issues started to arise, because by that point, which was about February in the year, the lease was from August to September. No, August to February. Jesus, I cannot think right now. This game is too loud for my brain. The lease was from August to February, and by the time that rolled around, we had a talk with our landlord, And our landlord was like, we don't mind if you guys stay over here, but one of your roommates does want to move out and find their own place closer to campus. And I said, okay. Or we all said, okay. That's fine. Is that going to be an issue for the rest of us? And she said, no. Our landlord said no. Only if we could find a replacement roommate. He said, if we could find a replacement roommate, then you guys can stay here, and you can extend the lease for as long as you want, and it'll be the same rate, everything. And we said, okay, great. That sounds like a deal. So we said, how long do we have to find another roommate? And she said, 1 month. I said, oh. You have 1 month to find a roommate, have them sign a lease, strangers they don't know, and, move in within that time. So basically immediately, we all go to Zillow, we all go to roomies.com, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, whatever we're gonna find. We start putting out advertisements and everything. But then, like a couple days later, out of nowhere, our landlord hits us with this temporary lease, which is like a month long. So we can tide over that waiting period between the end of the previous lease and the start of the new one, right? Which makes sense. Kind of makes sense that you would need to do that. Otherwise, you'd technically be squatting for a month, right? But, of course, with a new lease comes a new security deposit, which means the original security deposit, which was about 1 month's rent, which was about $1,300 for me, and like around the same amount for all the other people, maybe a little bit more for the master bedroom guy. We had to take that original deposit, split it between 3 people now instead of 4 people, so we would have all had to been paying about $1,700 just for the security deposit, not even including the rent for that month where it was just 3. So we would have paid about $1,700 for the security deposit each, and another $1,700 for the rent on top of that for that 1 month. On top of having to worry about, finding a new roommate and having them move in. The landlord said we couldn't wait until the new person moved in to pay the fees. We had to pay them now, and if we didn't pay them, we would get kicked out, basically. They told us if we couldn't find a new roommate, we would have to move out. So we were kind of stuck between kind of the worst case scenario there, because we were fine with finding a roommate, but we didn't have $3,000 to drop on rent out of nowhere. We didn't just have a total of like $10,000 saved up between all of us to do that. So we had to move out, meaning we had to cut our school year short and move back home or find another place to live. In my case, I had to move back home. I think one guy wasn't even going to school anyways, so he wasn't really affected as much. He was working out there, to be fair, which is pretty bad, but he wasn't going to school out there. So I think he had an easier time maybe transitioning to a new location, maybe. But the other girl, or at least one of the other girls that was living with us, was also a student. So I'm pretty sure she had to also cut her school year short or find a new place. I don't really know what she did, but same situation with me there. So yeah, everything kind of came crashing down out of nowhere. We were all fine. We were all happy living together. We all discussed it. We all said, let's live together for another year. Once you guys graduate, the guy that was working was saying, once you guys graduate, I wouldn't mind living with you guys, while you guys find work out here. I don't mind working out here. I like the area. Might move out sometime to move closer to LA, but I like this area for now. But okay. And then the other girl that moved out, Didn't really tell us that she was going to move out. She kind of went along with the whole lease idea, you know, extending the lease. Then out of nowhere, um, her and the landlord just texted us and were like, actually, here's what's going on. I need to move out, and you guys need to find a new roommate.
Can't beat that puzzle.
So we had to come up with a roommate and a total of 10,000 basically between all of us, which was not going to happen. So that was the end of that. I moved home next week, basically, a week. And again, I don't really know about the other people. I haven't kept up with them since, unfortunately. But I'm assuming they either found a new place to go or had to also move back home. Really just sucks. It also sucks because I liked that apartment company before all of that happened. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the different companies around that area. I've talked about where I went to school before, so if you know about all those companies, you know about all of them. But that company that I was living with seemed nice, and it was like not one of the more predatory ones, which were more infamous around the school. I said, okay, I wouldn't mind living with them, you know, for as long as I can. They seem pretty nice. They seem pretty easygoing. Seems like they like their clients more than the other companies. So let's just stay here. Then they hit us with that, and completely changed my mind about them. I don't know if they're all like that, if all the landlords are like that, if it was just that one. You know, I don't know if it's like a company thing, or like I said, just that one roommate. Or roommate, I mean landlord. But realistically, I'm probably not going to be living with that company again. At least not anytime soon. I'd rather not get screwed over like that again. I think ideally, at this point, I really don't want to live in an apartment if I can help it. And if I do live in an apartment, it's going to be in a private room by myself, with no other roommates. That condo was kind of the best thing that I had at the time. You know, before I was living in that apartment with 3 other guys on one lease. This condo had 4 leases, and we each had private rooms. So I said, okay, this is kind of a nice middle ground with that. Yeah, then the landlord was like, no, actually, the new lease is going to be a shared lease, and if you don't pay and get a new roommate, you're out. So, kind of ruined the experience completely. So now, if I want to live in an apartment, I would much rather it be by myself and no other roommates. Which is kind of annoying because those are the most expensive. How do I get up there? How am I supposed to get up there, man? Oh, it looks like I have to cross over. How do I get up there, though? Maybe I have to go, like, here or something? Oh, excuse me, Jesus. Bad hiccup back there. But yeah, kind of ruined the whole experience for me. Next time I live in an apartment, I'm gonna be a bit more careful. I'm gonna make sure it's just me and not anybody else in the same room or building. By building, I mean like floor plan. Even if it is a separate lease, I don't want anything to happen. But of course, y'all know how apartment hunting is. You know, it's pretty rare to find a single room. It's even more rare to find one in a good area that you want to live in and for a good price, that's like basically impossible to find. So, here I am at home. I've been home now for a year and a half, so. I don't really have any plans to move out anytime soon. Like I said, I want to be a bit more picky about where where I'm gonna move, especially now because at this point, if I move, it's gonna be because of professional reasons, less likely for school reasons. I always say I might return to school at some point. I might go back to school, which would necessarily mean I have to move out somewhere. But I think if I move out for school, I might have some more financial aid available to me, so I think I'd be able to use that to pay rent, which is going to help out a lot. Otherwise, I'm going to have to either, I don't know, call up an old friend, maybe. I still have some old numbers I might be able to call about living with them, getting like a good deal because I'm their friend. We haven't talked in a long time, to be fair, but I don't think we're on bad terms. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to, you know, call somebody for that reason for the first time in like 2 years, but, you know, when you get desperate, you know, what can you do, right? I wouldn't mind doing the same for somebody if I had the room to do that. Beyond that, I would have to either settle for a cheaper apartment and use my financial aid for that, and have a little bit left over for my own whatever I want to buy, you know, or just use all of it for an apartment and get a job, which is what I would rather do. I'd rather get a job and, you know, be in a better living situation. But again, that's not really anything for me to worry about for a while. It's going to be a while before I even return to school, if I return. I really don't know how to get up to that, where that other rune is up there. Go up here. There's nothing that would put me up on that building. All the platforms up there are not climbable. Maybe I can jump from over there to over here? Maybe? Means I'd have to go from like all the way around here? Right? Go like here? Make my way all the way around? Here. Here. Then how do I get up there? I can't get up there, can I? On that roof? I don't think so. Okay. Can't really make it on top of this one either. And this place is the worst. Might be my least favorite area. mantle up here for some reason. Won't let me mantle up here. Oh, there we go. Have to go from that side. Okay. Then... Oh, okay. I have to use I have to use the cannons. Okay. Excuse me, by the way. Oh, lag? Hello? Is stream okay? Not dropping any frames. I don't know what happened there. Right, I think I can do that then. We'll just go up from the side and go up the cannon there. I think the other one, the last rune, is like right over here or something like that, like the open space. Yeah, it's like right there. So yeah, not a good experience for me my last couple of years in school. The school itself, I mean, was fine, but honestly, I think the whole housing situation kind of ruined everything for me. If it weren't for the housing in that area, I would love it a lot more. Everything around there is really nice. All the attractions, the restaurants, people are nice. There's a lot of people in general, so you know, if you like being in that kind of social environment, then that's nice. There's like trains that pass by, so it's like nice ambiance there.
Really makes the eyes water.
Oh, hello? Mental? There we go. But yeah, I don't know, the whole area is really nice. It's right next to the beach, too. But yeah, the housing just ruins it, man. There's plenty of other people that complain about different companies, too. Different apartment companies. And the school itself. Plenty of people complain about the housing in the school and surrounding companies that kind of monopolize on student housing. So, you know, maybe if you're like an adult or working professional, maybe it's a little bit better. You know, maybe if you just have the cash to straight up buy a house out there or an apartment, maybe it's not so bad. Otherwise, it kind of ruins the experience, in my case. Alright, so at least we got that. We got the rune switch. We got a couple more dice along the way, too. I think we actually did get scroll, too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we just need one more scroll. We need 5 dice, a poetry page, and a scroll. Okay. We still have this one more area to complete. We just got done with this. Let's go ahead and head over to the last area and the courtroom. In theory, everything should be right here, except for that one die that's right at the beginning of the map. So we should find 4 dice, a poetry page, and that scroll around here somewhere. Kind of seems like they... oh, there's a target up there. I was going to say, it seems like they kind of put stuff away in a way that's hard to find on this map because of the buildings, the way the buildings are set up. I don't know what that just did. There must be other targets around here somewhere. I don't know where though. Kind of hard to focus with those gunfire happening. Pirate captures are giving me a run for my money as well. Annoying. So yeah, I mean, I would like to finish my degrees eventually, because it is pretty annoying to have them that close to being done. I think for one degree, I only really need I need one more class for my music degree, I think. No, three, actually, now that I think about it. I need a piano class. I need two other ones that I choose, which have to do with, like, culture and not necessarily music history, but just music production, I think. But like, let's say, like, I think one of them that I was going to take was the history of hip hop or something like that, and then the other one was an orchestration class. So that would have been pretty easy. That's not really that bad, I don't think. I've already gone through music history, which I think was probably the worst of the different series I had to take. I had to take music theory, music history, musicianship, which is like performance practice, composition. I took jazz theory, I took post classical theory, and some other class I can't remember. But yeah, I think all I had to do was like a piano class, like a basic entry-level piano class that everyone has to take. History of hip-hop, which is probably more of a GE class than a music class, to be honest with you. And orchestration, which is like how to arrange parts across a large ensemble, basically. Which I think would have been fun. For my GE, or yeah, GE, right? GED, sorry. For my GED, it would have been just French classes. I had to take a foreign language, and I chose French for some reason. So I would have just had to finish that series. Would have taken about the same amount of time as the music classes. And for my education degree, that would have taken about a year to complete, to be fair. So I would have, you know, I'm going to have to go back for a while to complete that, but just doing that and not having to worry about music or GE would be not that bad.
Way to finish them off.
Yeah, it would be nice to go back and finish all those. But considering I'm gonna have to stay out there for at least about a year and a half, 2 years to complete everything, not gonna be fun to work with landlords out there. Just about every lease you come across over there is gonna be about, you know, anywhere from 3 months to a year at the most. You kind of have to work with, you know, whoever owns the place. Keep living there. Make sure you don't get bad roommates. Make sure you don't get a bad rent increase or something like that. No. So it's gonna be a lot for me once I turn. Oh, there's a scroll.
Can you believe it? Long Bronze Gilbert himself invited me to a salty little shindig at a safe house.
Long Bronze Gilbert.
Throw a party. There were shanties and dancing and all the virgin grog you could drink. Gilbert was a bit deep in the grog when he asked me to join his crew, but I could never leave me twin brother on his own like that. He needs me.
Bye. One. We'll need 3 more though. Still need to figure out what those targets do. We didn't know what that did. Hello, can I grab this die? There we go.
Lucky you.
So 3 more dice in this area, plus that one at the beginning. We found the scroll, so that's nice. In a poetry page, I have a feeling has to do with that target that we shot earlier up at the top of that building. It didn't do anything when we shot it. I'm assuming there must be at least one other target around here somewhere that we have to shoot. Don't know where it would be. Can't find it. Just standing up here. Sorry, by the way, if you're watching this in high school, and I'm kind of just making university sound like a drag. It can be fun for sure. It has its ups and downs. Gonna be totally honest with you though. A lot of people are gonna say college and university is what you make of it, which is true to an extent. But they never really tell you any bad experiences. Like you never really hear about bad experiences, university or college. So I'll just say, if you're going to university or college and you're planning to move out, I'll just say be careful because you can easily get screwed over by a bad situation really easily. And you know, if it's similar to my case, then you're going to be stuck in that situation for a year. Can't really do anything about it. So I don't want to scare anybody. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but be careful. Never know. It can happen. I'm not gonna go out and say college is bad all around because I don't think that's true. I've met some cool people. I've had some good experiences. Learned a lot in my classes. Like I said, the city that I was in was really nice. You know, aside from those experiences. So just just be careful. I would say maybe a big piece of advice I would say is that you should be confident in where you're going, both to school and in housing. Because in my case, I didn't really talk about this all that much, if at all, but hold on, let me talk about this next episode. We're about at time here. Give me a moment.